All right, let's dive right in. Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we take that stack of sources you send over articles, research, maybe your own notes, and really try to unpack them.
Get to the core of it.
Exactly. And today we're tackling something that honestly feels like it's changing every single day.
Yeah.
How AI tools are just completely reshaping software development.
Yeah, the speed is kind of mind-blowing. And the source we've got today, it's a really interesting article digging into 10 specific AI tools. Makes a pretty big claim, too.
Oh, yeah? What's that?
That these tools can give a single developer, basically, the power of a full dev team.
Whoa. Okay, hold on. A whole team? You mean like the back-end folks, front-end, UI, UX people, QA, all of that, rolled into one person just by using the right AI.
That's the argument the article makes, yeah. And, thinking about it, here we are in June 2025. It almost doesn't sound that crazy anymore, does it, given how fast things are moving?
Seriously. Feels like warp speed sometimes. So, okay, our mission for this deep dive is to figure out how the article says that's even possible. What are these specific tools doing? And, what's the real future look like for developers who have this kind of power? If you're building software, or maybe thinking about it, or honestly just curious how AI is shaking up these skilled jobs, this is for you. We're talking directly to you here.
And what jumps out immediately from the article is this focus on it not just being about learning another software tool. It's more fundamental.
Absolutely.
It's about a shift in how developers actually work and maybe even how they need to think about their work.
Okay, so this mindset shift idea, you're not primarily the builder anymore. Is that it?
Exactly, that traditional picture where you're personally writing every single line of code for, well, everything. That's changing pretty significantly, according to this article.
So if you're not the one laying every brick, what are you? What's the new role?
The article calls it being an architect, or maybe an orchestrator. The idea is the AI tools. They're the specialized builders now.
Ah, okay. Give me an example.
Well, think of GitHub Copilot. The article kind of positions it as your, structural engineer handling the code framework. Then you've got tools like Uizard or Galileo AI. They're like your interior designers sorting out the look and feel.
In QA, like testing.
Yeah, maybe Testum is your super focused QA supervisor making sure things don't break.
Gotcha. So you, the human developer, you're the architect holding the master blueprint. You're directing this AI crew.
Precisely, you're guiding them. So the argument goes, the skills that become really critical aren't just typing speed anymore. It's more about systemic thinking.
Seeing the whole picture.
Right, how all the pieces fit. And delegation, knowing which AI tool is right for which job. And then technology integration, basically. Getting all these different AI specialists to play nice together.
That makes a lot of sense. It's less about being the fastest bricklayer, more about designing the whole building and managing the crew effectively.
Yeah, that's a really good analogy. It definitely requires a different kind of thinking, a different approach to problem solving.
Okay, so let's meet this AI construction crew. Who are these specific tools the article highlights? The ones making this team of one possible?
Right. These are the 10 it really focuses on as being key enablers.
Okay, first one up, GitHub Copilot. I feel like most developers have at least heard of this one, yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely one of the most well-known. The article calls it the code companion.
Yeah.
Pretty straightforward. Its main job is helping you write code. It suggests completions, whole functions sometimes based on the context of what you're doing. Helps you code faster.
And the example they gave that, something about file conversion.
Exactly. Say you need to convert data from a CSV file to JSON. Normally, you might stop, search Stack Overflow, find something, adapt it. Takes time, right?
Yeah, definitely breaks the flow.
With Copilot, you just type a comment, like co-function to convert CSV string to JSON array, and well, boom, it can often generate the entire function for you right there, seconds.
Wow. Okay, that skips a whole chunk of boilerplate work. But the code it generates, is it always perfect, good to go?
That's a really crucial point the article makes. No, it's often impressive, yeah, but you absolutely cannot just blindly trust it. You have to review it, treat it like a suggestion, check the logic, think about performance, security. Apply your own expertise.
Okay, super important caveat then. Reviewing code from maybe a really fast but sometimes kind of naive junior dev.
That's not a bad way to think about it, yeah.
All right, what's tool number 2?
ChatGPT, specifically the pro version. The article calls this one the personal tech lead.
Okay, I like that. So if Copilot is the hands, ChatGPT is the brain you consult.
Kinda, yeah. It's for the more high-level stuff, planning out the architecture for a new project, maybe explaining a complex programming concept you're stuck on, debugging really nasty issues, even just researching different tech options.
So when you hit that wall, like a super cryptic error message, or you're just not sure which database to use.
Exactly that. The example they give is debugging a memory leak in a Node.js app. Those can be a real pain, right?
Ugh, yeah. Nightmare fuel.
So you describe the symptoms, maybe paste in some code snippets you think are suspicious, and ChatGPT can often help you pinpoint the cause, explain why it's happening, and suggest fixes.
Man, just getting help debugging memory leaks. That alone would be huge.
Totally. But the big caveat here, and it's a big one, is context. ChatGPT's usefulness is like directly proportional to how much detail and quality context you give it. Vague question, vague answer.
Right, the classic garbage in, garbage out. Even for smart AI.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got the brain, the coding ends. What about design? That's usually a whole separate skill set.
It is. And that's where tools like Wizard and Galileo AI step in. The article calls them the automated UI designer. UI being user interface, what the user actually sees and interacts with.
Automated UI. Wait, you just tell it what you want, like with words.
Pretty much. You can type a description, something like, design a clean user profile screen with space for a bio, photos, and recent activity. Or, get this, the article says you can even upload a quick, hand-drawn sketch.
No way. A sketch.
Yep. And the AI generates a polished, professional-looking design from that input.
That's kind of nuts. I don't have to spend hours in Figma just getting a basic layout down.
Exactly. Speed is the key here. Galileo AI, the article mentions, generated like 5 different homepage design options in 15 minutes. Think about that for brainstorming or just getting a visual concept out fast.
Yeah, for prototyping, that's amazing. But I assume you still need a human designer for the final, unique look, the branding and polish.
That's the note, definitely. These tools are fantastic starting points. Great for getting ideas flowing, getting a quick visual. But for that truly unique, pixel-perfect, on-brand final product, human designers are still essential for refining it.
Okay, get you maybe 80% of the way there fast. Cool. What if you just need a simple website, like now?
For that, they spotlight Durable.c. Its tagline is literally, build a website in 30 seconds.
30 seconds? Are you serious?
That's the claim. Its whole purpose is creating a basic landing page or simple site with almost no input. You just tell it your industry, like bakery, give it your business name, and bam. It generates a layout, placeholder text, even relevant stock photos.
So the example is basically just spinning up a quick site for a new local bakery.
Exactly. The article suggests you can have a decent-looking, functional site ready for minor customization and launch in just a few clicks.
That's pretty impressive for, getting a simple online presence up super fast. But I'm guessing it's limited, right? For straightforward sites only.
Yep, the note confirms that. Best for simple, mostly static websites. If you need complex features, deep integrations, really specific design control, you're still going to need to code it or use more powerful, flexible platforms.
Makes sense. Okay, plan, design, code. How about QA?
Yeah.
Quality assurance. That's a whole department usually.
Right. And for this, the article mentions Testim.io and Udify. They're labeled the 247 QA engineer.
24/7, because they're automated, I guess.
Exactly. Their main thing is automating end-to-end UI testing. Simulating how a real user clicks through your app. You can actually record yourself doing common flows, logging in, adding stuff to a cart, checking out, and these tools turn that recording into an automated test script.
Oh, cool. So every time you push new code, you just run the scripts and make sure basic stuff like login or checkout didn't break.
Precisely. The practical example is setting up, say, 20 automated tests covering the main user journeys for an online store. Running those automatically saves hours of manual testing each week. Huge regression stopper.
Okay, that's genuinely useful for catching those, oops, I broke something unrelated bugs. But they're not testing everything, are they? Like the deep back-end logic.
Good point. The note clarifies they're really powerful for UI testing the visual front end, but they don't replace things like unit tests for your back-end logic or exploratory testing where a human just tries to creatively break things.
Got it. Automates the repetitive UI checks, but other layers still need that human touch. Okay, next up, Replit Ghostwriter. Replit itself is that cloud IDE, right?
Yeah, Replit's the platform lets you code, run, host stuff right in your browser super easy. Ghostwriter is their built-in AI assistant. The article frames Replit Ghostwriter as the full-stack cloud development environment, but with integrated AI smarts. It brings coding, debugging, deployment, and AI help together.
So it removes all that friction of setting up local environments, servers.
Totally. You can just jump in, start a new Node.js project or React front end, whatever, instantly. And Ghostwriter acts like a supercharged Copilot, deeply integrated, helping write code, debug, and even deploy your first version, your MVP, really fast.
MVP, minimum viable product, the basic working version.
Exactly. The example they use is building a simple QR code generator MVP. The article claims a developer could hop into Replit, pick a template, use Ghostwriter for coding help and deployment, and have a working live QR code generator up in like under an hour.
An hour
Mm-hmm.
for a deployed web app.
Yeah.
That's an insane speed boost for prototyping or small tools.
It really is. Now, the note adds that Replit is awesome for prototyping, learning, smaller projects, but for really massive high-traffic applications or things needing super specific infrastructure, you might still eventually move to more traditional, complex hosting setups.
Makes sense. Scale matters.
Mm.
But idea to prototype in an hour is still huge.
Hmm.
What about unit tests? Nobody loves writing those.
Yeah. Enter Codium AI, billed as the unit test specialist.
Okay, now you really have my attention. What's the magic here?
It basically analyzes your code-specific functions, components, and automatically generates unit tests for them. You know, those small tests checking if individual pieces work right. Codium AI looks at the logic and suggests tests, including, and this is key, edge cases.
Edge cases, like weird inputs.
Yeah, unusual scenarios you might not think to test yourself, but could actually break your code. Things like negative numbers where you expect positive, empty inputs, weird characters.
So it boosts your test coverage automatically without you writing every single assert statement.
That's the idea. The practical example is generating tests for, say, a complicated payment processing function. Codium AI might suggest tests for $0 payments, expired credit cards, weird discount code, stuff that's easy to miss but critical.
Okay, wow. That saves time and potentially finds bugs a human might overlook. But same question as Copilot, I guess.
Right?
You got to review these tests, right?
Oh, absolutely. The note is very clear. Review the AI-generated tests, make sure they actually test the business logic you care about, and cover the critical paths. Don't just assume they're perfect and comprehensive.
Good advice. Always review the AI's homework. Okay, we've covered a lot. Code, design, testing, environments, unit tests. What if you need to build something like a customer service chatbot? Conversational AI.
That brings us to Voiceflow. Their pitch is, build conversational AI with no code.
No code for a chatbot. Really?
That's the main selling point.
Yeah.
It gives you this visual drag-and-drop interface. You can map out how conversations should flow for a chatbot or even a voice assistant. You can connect it to other services using APIs ways, software talks to other software, all without needing to be an expert in, like natural language processing.
NLP. That's the tech that helps computers understand human language.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Voiceflow handles a lot of that complexity for you. The example is building a customer support bot for a website. The article suggests you could realistically build and deploy a functional one in maybe an afternoon, which could massively cut down on human support queries.
Wow, that's a potentially huge ROI for a business built that fast. Limitations. Gotta be some, right?
The note mentions that while the no-code part is powerful, if your bot needs really complex logic or has to deeply integrate with custom backend systems to, say, look up specific user data, you'll likely still need a developer to write some code for those specific, tricky integrations.
Okay, so it's a massive accelerator, maybe not total magic for every complex case.
Got it.
We're almost through the list. Tool 9 is Notion AI. I use Notion for notes and project stuff. How does AI fit in?
Right. Notion AI is described as the smart project manager and scribe. It basically lives inside your Notion workspace and enhances it. It can summarize long documents or meeting notes, brainstorm ideas with you, help draft technical documentation, pull out action items from messy text, that kind of thing.
So it makes your existing workspace, like, actively helpful.
Pretty much. The example they highlight is pretty neat. Imagine pasting a long, rambling Slack thread into a Notion page. You could just ask the AI, summarize the key decisions here and list the action items in a table.
Oh man, cutting through the noise of long chats or meeting notes to get the actual outcomes, that sounds immediately useful, like right now useful.
Doesn't it? Turns chaos into clarity pretty fast. The caveat here, though, kind of echoes what we heard with ChatGPT. Its output quality is totally dependent on the input quality. Messy, unclear notes going in. You'll get a messy, unclear summary coming out.
Garbage in, garbage out. The running theme. Okay, last one. Tool number 10. Builder.io or Webflow AI. What's their angle?
These are grouped under front-end and CMS automation. Front-end is the user-facing part of a site or app. CMS is content management system like WordPress.
Right. How do they automate that?
Well, Builder.io, for instance, can take a design made in Figma, that popular design tool, and automatically generate the actual working code components for front-end frameworks like React or Vue. Webflow AI can help automate content creation, like generating product descriptions if you have, say, hundreds of products in an online store.
Whoa. So it's like bridging the gap between the design file and actual live code, or between a spreadsheet of products and actual descriptions.
Exactly. It blurs those lines. The practical example for Builder.io is interesting. A marketing team could potentially take a Figma design for a new landing page, use the tool to convert it directly into code, and publish it themselves, maybe bypassing the need to wait for a developer.
Okay, that's empowering non-devs again. What's the catch or the note here?
The note stresses that to use these effectively, especially the design-to-code tools like Builder.io, you still need some foundational understanding of web development. You need to grasp what components are, basic data flow, the underlying concepts, even if the AI writes the code.
Right. You can't just click magic button if you have zero clue what's happening underneath. You need context.
Exactly. You need to know enough to guide it and fix it when it's not quite right.
Okay, so that's the arsenal. 10 AI builders covering basically the whole development lifecycle. The article then ties it together with that workflow example, right? To show them working in concert.
It does, yeah, to really drive home the potential productivity gain. The example project is building a simple personal blog analytics dashboard. Something basic to track visitors, top posts, that sort of thing.
Okay, so walk us through how that would work using these tools start to finish.
All right. Step 1, planning. You'd start with ChatGPT, use it like your brainstorming partner, your tech lead, map out the architecture database, API, front end, get a basic step-by-step plan.
Okay, blueprint sorted with the AI brain. Step 2, design.
Yep. Jump over to Galileo AI or Uizard. Feed it some text prompts describing the dashboard's look and feel. Clean, minimalist, charts for views and refers. And it spits out instant UI designs. Your automated designer gives you the visuals fast.
Visual concept done. Step 3, actually building it.
That's where Replit plus Copilot or Ghostwriter comes in. You code it all within Replit's cloud environment. Copilot helps write the back-end code for crunching the analytics data, the front-end code for displaying the charts, the AI builders doing the heavy lifting.
Okay, speeding through the coding part. How do you make sure the numbers are right?
Step 4, testing. You bring in Codium AI, point it at your core data processing functions, and it generates unit tests automatically. Helps ensure your visitor counts and popular post logic are actually correct.
Automated QA checking the critical calculations.
Yeah.
And the last step, documentation.
Step 5, documenting. Use Notion AI. You could paste your API code or function definitions into Notion, ask the AI to generate technical docs explaining what each part does, its inputs, its outputs. Your AI scribe writes the manual.
Wow. Plan, design, code, test, document. Each step accelerated or handled by a specialized AI tool, all orchestrated by one developer.
Exactly. And the article's punchline about this workflow is the speed, a functional version of that dashboard. It could potentially be built and launched in an incredibly short time compared to how long it used to take. What might have taken a small team weeks, maybe even a month or more. A single developer using these tools might knock it out in, I don't know, a couple of days.
That's a staggering difference. A real step change in productivity.
Yeah.
Which inevitably leads to that huge, maybe slightly scary question the article has to tackle.
Oh, yeah. The elephant in the room. Is AI going to just replace all the human developers?
And the article's answer is pretty direct, isn't it?
Yeah, no mincing words, it says.
Yeah.
No, AI won't replace developers, but it will replace developers who refuse to use AI.
Oof. That's quite the statement. Why do they frame it like that?
Well, the argument is these tools, as powerful as they are still tools. They automate repetitive work, generate code suggestions, draft designs, run tests. They're amazing builders and assistants. But the article insists they can't replicate crucial human skills.
Like what?
Critical thinking, genuine creativity, strategic problem solving, understanding subtle business needs, having that big picture vision. You know, the architect role?
So the AI isn't the architect. Not yet, anyway.
Exactly. The future, in this view, belongs to developers who embrace AI as a partner, as something that amplifies their abilities. It frees you from the tedious stuff so you can focus your uniquely human brain on the harder, more interesting, more valuable problems.
So the takeaway isn't AI is coming for your job. It's more like The developer using AI effectively is coming for your job if you don't adapt.
That seems to be the core message, yeah. Adapt or get left behind, essentially.
Okay, so let's wrap this up. The main takeaways from this deep dive into the article's perspective.
I think the big ones are AI is definitely here, and it's a major force, especially in software development. It's fundamentally changing the job.
Yeah.
You need to shift your mindset from just being the hands-on coder, the builder, towards being that strategic director, the architect.
Right.
And these 10 tools we walked through, they're concrete examples of how AI can give you huge productivity boosts across that whole process planning, coding, testing, everything.
And that final point really lands, doesn't it? That using these AI tools isn't just a nice bonus anymore. It's fast becoming table stakes,
Yeah.
a baseline requirement to stay competitive and effective in tech.
Yeah, you got to evolve with the technology. See AI not as a threat, but as this incredibly powerful partner that lets you do more, better, faster, lets you focus on the really cool, challenging parts of the job.
Okay, so here's a final thought for you listening right now to kind of chew on. If AI can transform a field as complex and technical as software development this much, letting one person potentially do the work of an entire team, how could that same idea, AI as a partner, AI as an amplifier, apply in your field? Or maybe just in areas you're interested in. What kind of new skills might you need to start thinking about to become the architect in whatever work you do?
Definitely some food for thought there.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We'll get you on the next one.